What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Keeping It Real review. I'm James, joined by Jack and Rhys today to talk Babylon. Decadence, depravity, and outrageous excess lead to the rise and fall of several ambitious dreamers in 1920s Hollywood as the industry begins to transition from silent pictures to the world of sound films. Directed by Damien Chazelle, who did Whiplash, La La Land, and First Man, starring Margot Robbie, Diego Calva, and Brad Pitt. The movie grossed $42 million worldwide, sits at 55% on Rotten Tomatoes, and is nominated for 3 Academy Awards. Rhys, what did you think of Babylon?
Uh, I loved it. I think you were surprised that I enjoyed it so much.
It's
I'm,
well, it's
I'm,
over
su-
3
I'm
hours,
surprised.
I know it
I'm
was,
surprised.
but
and it's pretty
again,
balls to the wall.
3 hours, it's flew by. You know what I mean? Because it was just fucking wild the entire time. And I think that's if you make a 3 hour movie, you do it like this. You do it where it's zero to
We can't take a
60,
breath.
0 to 60
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
No, I love kind of seeing the kind of journey of these 3 different characters. And it's always nice when people, do films about, because I thought it was going to be like just about the debaucherous nature of Hollywood in the 20s.
Okay.
And a lot of it was, in fairness, but like it's kind of nice when people explore these like darker sides to Hollywood. It's not all fucking glitz and glamour. Like it messes you up, and like especially like Margot Robbie's story in it, like is wild, and she is brilliant too. She's great in
incredible.
just about everything she's in, and she nominated for this.
No.
She fucking should be. It's a crime.
I thought the same.
But yeah, it's great. The again, the cinematography in this is brilliant. The music, that first song they play at the party.
Yeah. Voodoo Mama.
Oh, so good. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that like you thought it was all going to be like debauchery and depravity, and I thought of expected the same, because I was the reviews weren't very good, and everyone's saying it just goes for it and doesn't it should have held back maybe. I thought, you know what, like I don't think he's missed yet. His
I
3
think
films that
he
he's put out
goes for it.
before this have been banger after banger. So I was
Yeah.
very excited. And
it does come in hard,
yeah,
I'll admit that. But then there are
it's
like
part of a theme and it's part of a message that it's getting across.
it pulls
That
back when it
cinema
needs to.
can do anything. So guess what? I'm doing everything. Within 5 minutes, you immediately fall in love with Margot Robbie, just as Diego Calva does as Manny. And I think the film just did that incredibly. She's dancing in this one shot, which is incredible, and Diego Calva's just off to the side, sort of watching her. He's like, "Holy shit! Like I've never met a person like this." And in the audience, I felt the exact same. Like you can't take your eyes off her, and for the next 3 hours, you're just fixed on this fascinating woman. Brad Pitt, I thought one of his best performances recently, sort of up there with his Once Upon a Time in Hollywood role. And Diego Calva as well, I thought was really terrific. I would have liked to see him get a shout out at the Oscars, but unfortunately not. Again, like the message of this, it is a cinema is powerful, cinema is magical, cinema can heal sort of message, but it's not without sacrifice and the dark parts. Like people die on these film sets, and people are really going through it, and there are politics behind the scenes and everything. It doesn't shy away from that. So I thought by the end it is, like this is what happens, but this is what's created. Is it worth it? Is it again sort of the Whiplash question of to get this performance out of this boy? Was it worth pushing him to that limit? It feels like it was the hands that crafted La La Land. And like, so 5 minutes in, when it's zooming into trumpets and then flipping around and flipping around again, I was like, yeah, we're back. Because I am a diehard La La Land fan. I've watched that movie like 25 times. Gets me every single one. And I think when Babylon comes out, this would be one I just rewatch over and over. Jack, what did you think?
I've been partially distracted by the Creed 3 poster in your room. I've been staring at it for quite a while.
It watches me sleep.
Yeah,
I
I'm in
could
the
be
same.
watching.
Michael be tripping. I'm in the same boat as both of you. I fucking love this movie. I was putting it off because again, 3 hours. Like I can sit through a 3 hour superhero movie, no problem. But anything other than that at the minute, it's 3 hours. I'm just like, God, is it going to be worth my time? Because I don't want to pay attention for that long and it not be a good payoff. But yeah, I fucking absolutely adored this movie. Similarly to what both of you said, the like I can kind of see why this movie hasn't done well in terms of like people who don't like cinema in the same way that like we like cinema, like people who just like casual viewers go to the movies, whatever. But if you do like film, I think this is a fucking banger. All my favorite parts were the bits where they were actually making movies, like the bit in the when they're all outside
in the
and
desert.
like there's fucking people, yeah, there's people just charging, and then
Yeah.
there's like, yeah,
Spike
and like he's
Jones was the director.
Mad.
oh, is
Mad
it?
that
Yeah,
was Spike
yeah,
Jones. I
yeah.
was watching it, I was like, I
We can
recognize
direct
this guy.
another movie. Stop just
And then
doing
when I got
cameos.
home and I was like, it's Spike Jones.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that whole sequence was just so good, and it was absolute chaos. And
The
like
payoff at the end was I had tears of when they
yeah,
finally
same.
when they got the shot.
When they got the shot, and like Brad Pitt, who like his character in this was my favorite character, so I thought his whole arc was amazing. Um, when he's like stood in front of the woman and he's like visibly like hungover and like
Yeah. And then he
he's like he
immediately
does yeah, and he just switches it on, he gets
yeah.
the shot, and they're like bang. I was like, yeah, that's a fucking movie star.
Yeah,
Like that
same with
is
like
just
Margot Robbie in her scene where she's
In the
like
tavern.
just to
That
cry and she's like, oh, and then like cut, she's like, cool.
ready to go again?
Do you know
oh
what?
yeah, and then when
You know,
they're like, how do you keep doing it, and how do you cry every time? And she's like, I
Think
just
of
think of
home.
home. I was like, oh
oh,
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, Diego Calva. It was a Calva, Diego
Yeah.
Calva. What else has he done? Has he done any other like English or
I've
American
not seen
movies?
him in anything
I've
I've
not
else.
not.
seen anything.
Let's have a
He
look.
was great. I just thought I won't like. Are we allowed to talk spoilers yet? Or we do know that?
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. The end when he's trying to convince Nelly to go with him, and they're gonna like run away together. That whole bit, I was like, man, I've watched La La Land and I know this isn't gonna fucking go the way I want it to go.
Yeah.
When she's like, yeah, we're gonna get married, and like he's like so happy. I was like, you ain't getting married, man. I was like, it's gonna go fucking.
And then she gets back, she gets out of the
right.
car, and you're like, get back in the car, Nelly. Just
Well,
Get in the car!
I
Get
thought
in
that was
the car!
amazing. I saw people complaining that like, oh, why didn't they just let them be happy? I'm like, because right in the scene
It's
before,
life, man.
Nelly
that's
knows
life.
she can't change. No matter what situation she's put in, she is always going to be her.
Yeah.
And because she can't change, she's going to drag Manny down with her. So her disappearing off, dancing off into the night, which is a line she says in the movie. When it's all said and done, I'm gonna dance off into the night. That was an act of love, and I again like 6 times in this movie, I was just sobbing. I was like, God, it's so beautiful.
I think my favorite scene was the Hello College.
Yeah,
Scene.
that was
just
one of the best.
Just the
sure.
chaos of these people who have been so used to just silent movies all these years, trying to like adapt to this new thing that we didn't even think about. Like we don't even think about like the challenges of, because now we have like
fucking transition,
like
being absolutely
you have mics so you can clip to yourself. You have all these kind of mics, and the thought of having one mic that would take half an hour to move,
and the camera operator is like dying in that box,
like that guy.
The guy from Wolf of Wall Street, it was just losing his fucking mind.
And the boys,
so funny in that scene where he's just like losing his fucking mind.
It's great because you're sort of feeling the same thing of like, oh my God, when are we going to get this done? But at the same time, it is like, this is hilarious. Like, what else can they keep?
I think that scene
wrong?
could have gone on for another 5-10 minutes, and I'd have enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I liked that as well. Like watching her like sacrifice the performance as well, because at her first take she's like, hello college, and then literally at the end she's like, hello college, just so that she doesn't interact with like the fucking mic. Like
her story, and I loved watching hers and Brad Pitt's stories, because obviously you've got this like young actress whose career is like starting off, and gets off the rails really quickly.
Yeah.
And you've got like Brad Pitt, who's like, he's an old dog, he's been around a long time, and just both of them almost like having to come to terms with like their careers ending.
Just the change.
And
that was
the constant machine.
That speech that Gene Smart gives Brad Pitt,
I was in floods.
When she finished, I was like,
100 years from now, some kid's gonna find one
just
of your
this thought of like,
and for a second you'll be alive again.
Just like her saying,
I was like,
you're done now.
Yeah,
like you're irrelevant now, but in the future you can be relevant again. And that's like,
again, this is a special thing about film. It preserves.
That's like the whole actor's plight, isn't it? Like, you have this like thing of fame for a while, and that's you, and then at some point you're done, but then
you're brought back.
Even when you're dead, you don't know. There's actors now who people talk about, like, like James Dean or whatever.
Yeah.
People you didn't know at the time that people are going to be talking about him now, but like,
exactly, yeah.
That's just,
that scene I thought was just incredible. And Brad Pitt gets a couple of good monologues in this as well. One where, unfortunately, he's screaming at his wife, which, according to the news, is very Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
But he's like, what I do up there matters, because she comes from the theater. He's like, you might look down on this because tickets don't cost $100. But when that average guy in the city on his day off from work can go and watch one of my movies and have a good time for 2 hours, that's what really matters. And again, I was like, fuck, this is so good.
His whole like his scene at the end, like his suicide scene, I thought was fucking amazing. Like his whole like
I'm not moving on. Let's just
it's just his like he's spent like his whole career like in the spotlight. He's getting to the point now where they only want him as a name to make fucking duds. Yeah, and it's almost like he's like, right, well, I don't want to continue for 20 more years making dud after dud after dud. Like, I want people to remember me for like the good shit that I made.
I'm gonna go out on my terms.
Go out on his terms, and like his whole thing about being like the main focus and like being in the spotlight. And I really liked at the end how he just went up. He didn't make a fuss and he did it like alone. I just thought that was like a really nice.
I love when he had that interaction with like the
bellboy or whatever.
Yeah. Like, who's ever tipped you the most money? And he was like, "Oh, it was you." And he just like gave him more. And it's just like,
but because obviously his transition out of Hollywood wasn't done on his terms. That was very much a committee sort of choice, and the audience really, he just couldn't make that transition into talkies. But yeah, him killing himself was that last final bit of control he could maybe have in his life, where he's not just relying on what he's done in the past. He's just gonna go out his own way. We get a couple of scenes from crazy, like coked up, pale Tobey Maguire, which
that whole bit was fucking amazing.
Oh, it was so wild. Yeah,
when we kept going deeper and deeper, I was like, oh my god,
yeah, that was so.
What
weird,
are we gonna find?
And like,
you just wouldn't go. But let's go down one more. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that with you.
As soon as he walked in, like under the bridge, or like into the first fucking shadow, I'd have been like, nah.
It's wild.
Let's just go back in the car.
You're watching a film, and this bit is supposed to be like really over the top and like a lot. Those were fucking around back then. You guarantee that there was like 100% freak shows under bridges back then.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, they just keep going down. I'm like, stop, just turn
around, go back up those stairs. So we get to the ending. Brad Pitt has shot himself. Margot Robbie is danced off into the night. And Diego Calva he's not in Hollywood anymore. He was a producer for a while, but he's got a family. Comes back to LA for a trip. Hangs around the studio lot, and then goes to see a movie. And this was like we got what the message of Babylon was already, but when he sat in that theater watching a movie, and then we are taken on a almost century-year journey of what films have now become. And it was soon as we saw shots from like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then there was Terminator 2, Jurassic Park, Matrix. And well, as soon as it showed Raiders of the Lost Ark, I was like, show Avatar. Last shot. Oh yes, it's got it all.
I saw on like Twitter, loads of people fucking hated that whole thing. And I was like,
yeah,
a lot
of people didn't like that scene.
I sat. The credits ended, and I sat there for maybe 5 more minutes, just sort of collecting myself. I was a wreck. I came out of it. I was going up to everyone. Need to go and see Babylon. Yeah, but big fans of the ending because it has been sort of controversial, I guess, in the last couple of days since it went on VOD.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I literally
I can't imagine. I can't imagine why you don't have any strong opinions against it.
Well, it's because people are, oh yeah, the best bit of Babylon was showing clips from other movies, and I'm like, that's not. Come on, like, fuck
you just don't get it. Go watch your silly little superhero films.
Yeah.
Shut up. Like, could you hear people behind me in the cinema going, "Oh, this film is boring," and I wanted to turn around and be like, "Leave, just go home."
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Leave me to enjoy this.
Full volume about how much you hate this fucking film.
Assholes.
Go home.
So
I'd be bored in that movie as well.
I don't know why. It doesn't let you get bored.
Yeah.
And also in the first 5 minutes, you see an elephant's asshole openly contract.
And
yeah.
A man gets
covered in shit.
A man gets pissed on for his own enjoyment.
Yeah. When it started there, I was like, and we're off. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a cocaine chicken.
Yeah.
I mean, what's not to enjoy?
And it's just got a good fucking story, regardless of all that off the fucking wall mad shit.
Regardless of all of it, it was by the end quite wholesome and beautiful, and I was just like, I didn't expect to be sobbing.
I did think at the end when he's like showing his family and like he tells like the security guard that he now owns like a radio shop, and like just the way he looks, I was looking at his wife and I was like, I bet she doesn't believe him. I bet she's just indulging him.
Yeah. His kid.
Yeah, we'll go to LA.
I used to work here, did you?
The kid was there for like 2 seconds and is like, I want to go home.
Listen, you little
on films, Dad. I'm tired.
Right, yeah. I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 5. It's my second favorite movie of last year. It's like I understand why some people won't love it as much as me, because you're not going to movies for the same things I am. And that's fine.
Because you're clearly an idiot.
Well, that was my second point. You're clearly an idiot. Give it another watch.
If you're listening to this and you don't like it, you're a fucking idiot.
You're a fucking idiot.
Fool.
That's all we fucking talk about. Right, Jack, out of 5.
Yeah, easy 5 for me. If a movie can spend 3 hours, over 3 hours, and still make me feel that good afterwards, it's a 5.
Yeah. Rhys?
Yeah, it's a 5.
5s all around. What do we think Calvin would have thought of this? I think he would have thought he went too far.
He would have hated it.
Yeah.
You reckon he'd have hated it?
It's too fun. It's not sad enough for Calvin.
I reckon he would have liked it, but I reckon he'd have probably given it like a 4.
Yeah, he wouldn't.
It wouldn't have been a 5.
Calvin goes in with his head too much.
In all fairness, if he went to watch it recently, he probably wouldn't have, seen it.
Oh yeah,
that's so fair.
He's partially blind,
the elephant's arsehole.
Awful.
Yeah, you might have missed. Yeah, and then the elephant's arsehole. You lose a star if you missed that bit.
You need that by the end.
Yeah, you've lost all the context.
Back to the elephant's arse. Right. That is going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Just remind you all, we are on Twitter at Keeping It Real UK. Give us a follow from there. You can find links to all of our streaming platforms and social media, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, and TikTok. Whichever app you use to listen to your podcast, make sure to follow us, like us, or give us a 5-star rating. We're also on YouTube, and we'd love to have you all as subscribers so you never miss another video. We are going to have reviews up for The Last of Us Episode 3 and The Fabelmans this week, so make sure to check those out, as well as an episode of our podcast where we discuss the brand new DC slate announced by James Gunn earlier this week. But until then, keep it real.